In 2014, I took my fiancée Sarah to a secluded lake house for a summer getaway. The house was beautiful, sitting completely alone beside a lake. There were no other cabins nearby. The next morning, Sarah went inside while I stayed by the water. About a minute later, I heard a woman scream. I ran toward the house, thinking Sarah was in danger. But when I reached the door, nothing. No movement, no sound. Then Sarah opened the door. She was completely fine. She hadn't heard any scream. I tried to forget about it, but that night, around 1:15 a.m., I was downstairs watching TV when I heard it again. The exact same scream. This time, it sounded like it came from right outside. I walked toward the window. Nothing but darkness. Then, 3 loud knocks hit the front door. I froze. I looked through the peephole. A tall woman was standing outside. She wasn't moving. "Hello? Is anyone home?" She said she was cold and needed help. I reached for the door handle. The moment my hand touched it, her arm shot forward and grabbed the other side. She somehow knew I was about to open the door. I let go and ran upstairs. When Sarah came downstairs, the woman was gone. We left the next morning. To this day, I still wonder what would have happened if I'd opened that door. A few years later, I flew back to my hometown. The plane was tiny and almost empty. Just before takeoff, a strange man sat beside me. He looked to be in his late 40s, with messy hair and a beard. Throughout the flight, he kept staring at me, not glancing, staring. His eyes looked completely dead. I ignored him. That night, after meeting my friends, I returned to my rental around 1 a.m. Just after getting into bed, I heard a knock at the front door. Nobody was there. The next morning, I noticed the door was unlocked. I was almost certain I'd locked it. That evening, I returned home. I entered the code, but the door was already unlocked. I stepped inside. Everything looked normal. Then I looked down the hallway. My bedroom door was open. A man was sitting on the edge of my bed. It was the man from the plane. I ran outside and called the police. He was gone, but the rental had an exterior camera. The footage showed him entering the house the previous night. He stayed inside for more than an hour. Nobody knows what he did while I was sleeping, and nobody knows why he followed me. Last summer, I took my RV on a road trip along the Pacific coast. One afternoon, I found an empty camping area deep in the forest. Something felt wrong, but I convinced myself I was imagining it. After sunset, I noticed a small light far down the road. It disappeared. Then it returned and started moving toward my RV. Someone was carrying it. The light came closer, then suddenly went out. I stayed inside. Later, I went to bed, but I couldn't stop looking at the uncovered window beside the door. Something about it made me feel watched. Finally, I turned on the outdoor floodlights, and I saw him. A man's face was inches from the window. He was staring directly at me. I jumped up and prepared to leave. I opened the door, quickly packed my equipment, and climbed back inside. Something slammed into the RV door. The entire door shook violently. Someone was trying to get inside. I started the engine and drove away as fast as I could. I've camped alone many times since then, but I still remember that face, staring through the window. And whenever I'm somewhere isolated, I remember one rule. If a place feels wrong, leave before you find out why.